Hello, I'm David Ben Murphy. Welcome to Telpax. A YouTuber asked how to put on NextDNS onto the router. Putting NextDNS onto your router is the first step in having security for yourself and your family against the perils and evils of the internet, protecting you against pornography or invasion by viruses or just all kinds of things. How do you do it? First thing we need to do is get into your router. So on our screen here, you need to know the address of your router, 192, let's see, 0.168.4.1. The most common address is 192.168.1.1, but we have it different here. You need to have your password to get into the router. Admin is a default ID, and then I have my own password. And here I am. And the reason for getting into your router is to find out what you got. We have here an Asus AC-68U. This is an old router. What is it? It's way more than 10 years old. Bought it for under 30 bucks off of eBay. And it has some modifications. Notice it says powered by ASWRT Merlin. So it's a Merlin software upgrade. Very easy to do, by the way. But, okay, that tells us what we have and our address. And we know the address and password. That's going to be important in a minute. The next thing we're going to do is go to NextDNS. NextDNS.io is the website for NextDNS. They have free service for getting started anyway. If you go over, is it 300,000 inquiries a month, then it will stop working with the filtering. You need to pay them $2 a month for that configuration. But for the most part, it's free, particularly the way that we do it. If each device has their own NextDNS, it's unlikely that you're going to need to pay for any of this. But here we have the NextDNS profile. That's my email address I'm using, one of the many that I have. And you set up the account with a email address and password. You can change that later on with your accountability partner if you're using one to protect yourself against making changes. Here we are. And next, we go down to, where are we? We're here for setup guide. It's on the main page. And we click on routers. All right, and we're already there. And then we click here to, okay, this is what we need. We need this line of code. We're highlighting it, all of it, and copy. Okay, now we've taken note, hopefully, of our NextDNS ID. Let's see if we can go back to it. The NextDNS ID for our ID, and this is unique for every configuration, every account, 394 BCE. BCE is lowercase. I've made a note of that, and we'll need to have that to proceed. I'll minimize here, and we need to install a program to go to the to configure the NextDNS. I use PuTTY as a communications tool to SSH into the router. The router, by the way, let's see here. You have to allow SSH on the router. It's not automatic. It's off by default. If I go back here to my router, okay, and that's my address. mistyped. Okay, there's my router. We're still logged in. And in this router, we go to administration and system. And then we go down here and we've allowed SSH on the LAN only, the local area network. We're using the standard port 22. You can change that if you want, but that needs to be done. SSH has to be enabled in order to communicate with the router and put in this line of code. So it's really not so very difficult. We now click on PuTTY, and let me drag it over so you guys can see it. Okay, this popped up on the main screen, but here it is. And now I'm going to type in the local address for the router. 192.168.4.1 is mine. Yours is probably going to be 1.1, but we'll see. And now we go open. And it says login as, and then we're typing in, and admin is my name, the default name for the router. And I'm putting in the password. And there we are. And now I'm going to, okay, I've already copied that. I now pasted that code I got from the NextDNS site. Hit enter. All right, and now info, choice, install NextDNS. Hit I for install NextDNS. Installing NextDNS. Okay, and it needs the profile ID, unique for your account that you've set up. This is the configuration for the router itself. In my case, it's 394, and then BCC, small case, and then hit enter. And just say yes to all their questions. Yeah, I'm not even sure how caching applies. Yeah, just say yes. Yes to everything. All right, and now it is done. Here we are again. We're trying to reinstall the NextDNS onto our Asus router. We're going to go into the internet address, 192.168.4.1. There we are. Admin is our name, default there. And password we've already set up. Same password we used to get into the router in the beginning. And now we're going to try once again to copy and paste this command here. Copy and paste. All right, and we go to configure. I see it's already installed, but we're going to reconfigure it. Okay, so C for configure. And profile ID. Default says 394 BC. Interesting. Am I misreading this? Is it BCE? Oh my. BCE. Now, there's a question. Let's go back here. And all right. We're going back on NextDNS. It's BCE. Well, that makes all the difference in the world, doesn't it? So now we type the correct code. 394 Here we go. 394 BCE, not BCC. No wonder it couldn't find the profile. And say yes to all their questions. Okay, and we're waiting for it to say, okay, enable, refresh, yes, choice, and exit, which is E, right? All right, and now, as you can see, yay, it's saying all good, device is using NextDNS with this profile. My earlier mistake, put in the wrong ID. I didn't read it quite closely enough, C and E. That's an old guy, it looks pretty much the same at a distance. Okay, so we have parental controls here, and all the controls are up right now. It looks like it. It will add safe search. That's very useful. In fact, we can put all the restrictions we can think of here. Blocked bypass methods, most certainly. Okay, so now we have a really locked down router. It's not going to let us do much of anything. So let's close our connection on PuTTY. And let's go back here to a browser. Okay, we're using Firefox over here. And if I want to go to YouTube, I would think it probably won't let me. Okay, and it says not connected to the internet. But if we go to something different, like New York Times, I don't think there's any block on that. And there's the New York Times coming up. No problem. So all the filters are on here now. It's on super child mode. And we can go back into NextDNS, of course, and change the filters to allow different categories and to set recreation hours. But one approach, one I want to recommend doing, is to set maximum lockdown on the router and have individual devices have their own NextDNS. In my other videos, you'll see how to do that. But you want to keep it simple. You can use just family filtering. If you're just interested in pornography, put the block on there. Put the block on gaming. Put the block on gambling, as you see fit. But it's not too difficult. But every router is going to be different. Your first task is to go to NextDNS. Whoop, not here. NextDNS and set up the account. Okay, so next. Here we are, 1 second. NextDNS IO. You set up your account, obviously the first step. And then you go down to Setup Guide for Routers. And you click on this link here, Open Source Repository. You want to see if your router is on the list. And mine is simply listed by being a Asus WRT Merlin. That's what I have. OpenWRT is another software you can have installed on the Asus, but it's DDWRT. The router is going to have to be NextDNS capable, and there are quite a few routers that meet the approval. But obviously, your first task is to have a router that will work. And I do recommend a router that can have Asus Merlin installed. Merlin also has its own additional firewalls that could be helpful for additional protection over and above NextDNS. But NextDNS is, to me, the foundation for it all, especially if you're using a parent or a accountability partner to keep you on the straight and narrow. Okay, that's my demo for right now, and I hope all of you have a great day. And bye-bye.